You pointed out something so important, which is that the Dems acquiesced, and so much of their opposition to him has been very kind of symbolic and performative.
Performant is the trendy word now, but it sure has been.
Yeah.
It sure has been. I mean, this is ridiculous. Interestingly enough, they're more performative than he is. He's not performing. He's really doing it.
That's really interesting.
I don't think he's performative. He's doing it.
That's really funny.
But this bit, like if I clap like this, or if I
rip off the pages of the speech, or the kente cloths. Well, again, what you said, while they vote, they sign his cash all of his checks, right? Vote for his budget, his war budgets.
Yeah. So, and all that they were even asking for was, Bernie was saying 10% off. I know. And they wouldn't even do that.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's another thing. Yes.
And when you think of the money, it's a $61 million more is now being budgeted for this militarized troop invasion, of these cities. And what if that money had been spent? Think he's fighting crime. Who in America, given COVID, given the economic despair that millions and millions of people have been living with, given the eviction crisis happening, given American hunger, what American has woken up in the middle of the night over the last few months going, what are we going to do about Albuquerque?
Right.
This is not where America's concern is. We're not really, if there's violent crime, and there is in some of these cities, that's for the local officials to handle. And if they feel they need it, they can ask for the National Guard. We have a process here. We're a nation of laws. This is not JFK sending troops to help integrate University of Alabama. And so how exactly are they going to quell violence in those cities? They are exacerbating violence. They are creating chaos. They are creating fury. And I have to tell you, I'm so proud of my fellow Americans that they are standing up. The moms, the dads, the vets, the nurses.
Mm. Yeah. So what do you think needs to be done in the coming 2 to 3 weeks?
I think we all need to pray. I think we all need to meditate. Those of us who pray, those of us who meditate. I think that I think everybody really needs to ask in their heart for what part they might play, but we must not look away. And please vote for the progressives in these primaries who will do something. The fact that we got Hickenlooper rather than Romanoff, the fact that we got Gideon rather than Sweet, the fact that we got McGrath rather than Booker or Boyer, please. So progressives, we say how much we want change, but when it came to these primaries, but there's still some left.
Yeah.
There's still some left. Adam Christensen. There are a lot of them. Keita Haynes in Tennessee. You can go to progressivecandidatesummit.com. Some of the people I've endorsed, I'm sure have, Bernie has. We still have time to help get some of these progressive candidates in there. Even Shahid, I'm sorry, Nancy. I'm sorry. I have great respect that she's the first Speaker of the House. Someone like Chuck Schumer. I wrote last night, AOC needs a primary. What are we, what has happened? What has happened in our country that only Republicans have audacity?
Yes, this is another thing you said that was so good. You said that Republicans have more elitist ideals and plans and policies, but are less elitist in the way they respond
more
to
egalitarian, with their own constituency. Democrats are the opposite, the more egalitarian policies, because the elitist paternalistic relationship to its own constituency, namely the all these progressives who are treated like a bunch of Birkenstock babies.
Yeah.
Cenk said something. You were talking about Cenk Uygur. He said something to me the other day that really stayed with me. He said, Republicans are selected for strength and Democrats are selected for weakness.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. That's true.
So, no, we can't wait. Everybody's supposed to stand in line. No. The house is on fire.
Right.
The house is on fire.
It's so funny because you said pray and meditate, and I was just already hearing the people. The cynic in me, but I'm not that way anymore. But I also don't want to alienate people because I do want to welcome people to this. And I'm not I consider myself, spirituality curious, let's say.
So let me ask you this, and you and I had this conversation before. What if Reverend Barbird had said it?
Right, no one would mock him as
or Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson.
Right, yeah.
Martin Luther King, when I was younger, I read all the biographies of Martin Luther King because I've always been so enamored.
Right.
And all of the biographies talk about the third Sunday in 1960. And he was a minister at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. And on the third Sunday of January, I'm not sure, the third Sunday of, I think, January 1960, they said he went from being a preacher who contextualized within a political context to a movement leader whose politics were within a spiritual context. It was Martin Luther King who said that we need quantitative change in our circumstances and qualitative change in our souls. It was Martin Luther King who said the desegregation of the American South is the political externalization of the goal of the civil rights movement, but the ultimate goal is the establishment of the beloved community. That was not a naive thing to say. He was saying we could desegregate, but if there's not a change of heart, we will be dealing with this stuff again. And he was right. Mass incarceration, racial disparity in sentencing. Right. It has to be both external and internal change. And that kind of integrative, holistic thinking, which is now completely permeated mainstream thought about healing the physical body, is a more sophisticated modality of transformation, not a less sophisticated modality. That's why when it comes to racism and slavery and so many of the racial issues today, people understand the internal dimensions, dealing with white privilege and atonement, and paying reparations. It's both and.
Yeah.
That's the 21st century. The 21st century politics is multidimensional in that it recognizes that human beings are multidimensional. And if our civilization is going to change, it has as much to do with our changing as it has to do with legislative change.